This is a room full of history, full of experts, and you can sense the weight of discipline that holds life and death in its hands. Yes, this is the Department of Neurosurgery at Bir Hospital, the first neurosurgical hospitals in Nepal. Look closer. At the bottom, you can see a woman. In the field of neurosurgery, which is tough, being a pioneer is much difficult. Being the only woman in this room is another challenge entirely. She is not just breaking the glass ceiling, she is now inspiring a whole new generation of doctors who aim to pick up the scalpel. Dr. Namrata Khadka herself. So, welcome back to the Mission Brain podcast. I am your host, Dr. Ashish Paudel, and I am delighted to have Dr. Namrata on our podcast. So, Dr. Namrata is a highly respected and renowned neurosurgeon at Bir Hospital. She is the first woman to graduate MCH neurosurgery from Bir Hospital. She is the first woman neurosurgeon in government service in Nepal, and she is also a visiting professor at Virginia Tech Calrian School of Medicine in the US. Dr. Namrata has a substantial contribution to the society as well. She is a widely renowned figure. Recently, she was awarded with Nepal's 40 under 40 most influential people in Nepal. And she is also a title holder of Mrs. Femina International. So, Dr. Namrata, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Assis. Thank you so much for the nice introduction. I felt it was too much flattering as well. And it's always pleasure to be in Mission Brain. Well, it being panelist at the this Asia Summit, or last week only, a few days back, I gave a talk on Mission Brain, India, I guess. So it's always pleasure to be in the platform of Mission Brain. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, ma'am. You are an inspiration to many of us, and you are my personal favorite. So, I'd like to
Mm.
begin with the
Thank
questions.
you.
There was a systematic review published in the CNS Neurosurgery Journal in the year 2024, and it mentioned that in 210 countries, the percentage of neurosurgeons that were female was only 10 to 15 percentage, and among that number, the in the LMICs, it was even less than that, right? So, when you walk into the OR, does that feel like a burden of responsibility, or does it fuel your drive to change this scenario?
It's very obvious that in a global scenario, the women neurosurgeons are very few, and it's the same in Nepal. But we should proudly say that out of 135, nearly 135 neurosurgeons working in the country, we are now nine female neurosurgeons, and then also other. I mean, few are doing residencies as well, so there will be more to join with us in this journey. And yes, like in several interviews I have said that operation theater doesn't recognize gender and doesn't recognize age. So the operation theater and the wait and the patient lying in the bed, uh, uh, whom you are going to operate, he or she doesn't know what's the age of the surgeon and what's the gender of the surgeon. So yes, like, so be it be a male surgeon or a female surgeon, I always say that surgery doesn't have a gender, like surgeon doesn't have a gender. So yes, there is a huge responsibility, and I don't walk in the theater as a burden as a female surgeon, but I walk into the theater with a huge responsibility of getting the patient out and then landing the patient safely from the operation, and then that gives me a type of sense of responsibility, but not a burden.
That was really inspiring, ma'am. So I have watched most of your interviews, and I was really inspired by the things you said. So that's really inspiring. So moving on, when people plan their career, most people most likely look for the smoothest path to succeed, right? But you choose a path that is at high stake, and even a small margin of error is likely devastating. So you stepped into a world where only a few women have stepped in before. So what led you to choose neurosurgery as a career, Dr. Namrata?
Actually, I think I always wanted to break this stereotype, break the ceiling, and I always wanted to be in the job which always challenged me, you know. So actually, I wanted to be an airline pilot, and then my parents didn't allow me to be one, um, and then also I wanted to do everything in the scholarship because I have been a scholar my whole life. So and then you know, like after I'm not being able to be in the aviation sector, that I thought like it's a very challenging. Then I thought, what will be challenging next? So growing up in the environment, you know, like my uncle is a neurosurgeon, so I grew up watching him doing neurosurgery and become a neurosurgeon. And at that time, when I grew up as a child, neurosurgery was a hype in the country, and Professor Upendra Devkota was a very renowned neurosurgeon. And then the for the people in Nepal, like doctor was Upendra Devkota. Not only as a surgeon, but people used to recognize uh, doctor as Professor Upendra Devkota. So I thought like. I mean, dealing with the brain and spine that controls your whole body and the whole human being and the human civilization, I have to say, you know. So I thought like it will be a challenging job to do. And I never went through any article or went through the society profile that there are no female surgeons in the country or no female neurosurgeons in the country. I just wanted to do it, just as me, like I wanted to challenge myself and to take a challenging job, so I opted neurosurgery.
That's really brave, Dr. Namrata. So, how do you feel becoming the first woman neurosurgeon in government service in Nepal? And you are the only neurosurgeon, female neurosurgeon in Bir Hospital, right?
Yeah. Actually, you know, like my institution holds is the oldest department in the country and is the oldest neurosurgery department in the country. And Bir Hospital is the oldest hospital in the country. You know, like it carries the history of 136 years old history. And then and I didn't know, like I always wanted to be a neurosurgeon, and I went into the program because I always wanted to do neurosurgery in Bir Hospital, where there lies the legacy of Professor Depkota and many other renowned neurosurgeons, even my uncle Professor Prakash Bista, and then also Professor Gopal Raman Sharma. I always wanted to be there, and then I wanted to feel the vibe of neurosurgery and neurosurgeons in Bir Hospital. Uh, and I never realized that I'm going to be the only female government neurosurgeons, or the first one to graduate from my institute, because my institute recently celebrated 25 years of MCS neurosurgical training. And then it's very strange that no female had entered the program, you know, like I feel it, just like you said, it's a matter of pride, but it with it also brings responsibility as well, you know. So I think like I feel I'm more pressured and I feel more responsible that I should be able to create the environment for the other upcoming female neurosurgeons in the government or in Bir Hospital.
Wow, that's a very powerful story, Dr. Namrata. So, moving on. So you have this huge responsibility, like you mentioned, and you're also a pioneer. I already mentioned that you're also a pioneer. Like, so how do you complete all your works, your researches, and you visit US for your lectures? You're a visiting professor there, right? Also, you manage the time for your family at home. So how do you manage all of this?
Family is always a priority, you know. And then at my home, it's like they have always seen, for me, like I have said in other interviews as well, like for my parents and at my home, like doctors are surgeons and surgeons are neurosurgeons because they have seen my uncle doing it. And then for my mom also, like she knows, and then they understand the pressure, they understand the time. As a neurosurgeon, we need to dedicate to the hospital, but family is always a priority, and then you will do the thing that is your priority. I mean, you will never miss out anything like spending quality time with your family, and then traveling, and then doing researches. This is a quite tricky thing. Like, you have to be very clever at managing the time. Just like, I came here, and then you were approaching me for the podcast, and then only 2 days back I gave another talk in the Mission Brain webinar. So again, on May 5th, after my AANS presentation, I have another interview by the other people. I mean, they are actually from Peru. So so but when you want to do things, like, you can make it. I just write it down, note it down, what things I have done. Just after landing in US, I just stick down things that I have done. Now I have few things left doing, so I keep on I keep on making notes of those things that I need to do. I keep a very good schedule, and then I tick, and then I'm very happy when those things are accomplished. And then I have always other few projects running in my mind for next few months. So it's like that. but but you can't satisfactorily give time to everything, like 100% is, but at least 70, 70, 60. I just divide the time. That's how I manage things.
That was really good scheduling and journaling that you do. So, our viewers also wanted to know that, like, what do you do when you first reach your home?
Actually, we don't have a. I mean, I'm a very junior neurosurgeon at work, so you know that, and then I don't have a fixed schedule. My schedule runs after my boss. So there is surgery sometimes at 5 a.m. in the morning or 6 a.m. in the morning, and then like, you have to be in the hospital till Beer Hospital till 5. And then I also work in private in Norvik International Hospital. So after that, I have OPDs there, and then we also got surgeries after 5. So it becomes like, sometimes if too early, then I reach home by 6, 7 or 8, and then most of the time it's like 9, 10. And as soon as I reach home, I just want to have a glass of water, and then take a shower, and just lie in a bed, and then think about my next day's schedule, and then
Yeah, I think
go to
home
bed.
is, I think home is a good way to recharge yourself, Dr. Namrata. Am I right? Is
Yeah.
that right?
Yeah.
I would like to again congratulate you on being the 40 under 40 most influential people in Nepal, and you're awarded by the Prime Minister of Nepal then. So it's a huge honor, right? So this national recognition, has it changed the way you perceive the younger generation of Nepal, who now see you as not just a doctor but as a public figure?
I should say, like, when I started working, and then being close to the patients, I had slowly realized a change, and then being, recognized as 40 most influential, youngsters in the country hasn't changed much. But obviously, like, all these accolades and the recognition, they bring responsibilities as well, and then my all the accounts are all public. So it's like, I don't think, there is not that much difference. But yes, the recognition has increased, and then more people know me. That's all. I don't think there is much change.
So how did the colleagues in your department react to this news that you were listed as the 40 under 40 most influential people in Nepal?
Like, actually, for that, I didn't have time to celebrate, because the next day, a day after, I had to fly to US for my short-term fellowship in Virginia Tech Carolina School of Medicine. as I am to do. I mean, I want to develop a subspecialty of function neurosurgery and epilepsy surgery in Bir Hospital, because as we have so many neurosurgical centers in the country, there are like 67 accredited centers, but none of them have the subspecialty program. So non centers in the country, like even the teaching hospitals, even the, I mean, big hospitals are running the subspecialty. So I want to do a fellowship and then start a subspecialty. So at the time also I was about to fly, and then yes, there were overwhelming responses, and then like some people, I mean, uh, some people didn't take it so well, and many of them were very, I mean, very happy, and then they thought that it was well deserved. But few people, I mean, like they were like, what has she done differently? That, I mean, those things also I heard, but it's okay. Like, you
Just
have
move
to deal
on.
both the
Mhm.
positive and negative things. No worries.
Yeah. So I want to share a myth with you, Dr. Namrata. So there is a saying that neurosurgery is too physically demanding, and women might be too emotional for the surgery. But your team of entirely women completed 60 surgeries in 2 weeks, and you were the lead. So how did this idea came up with in your mind, and what are the thoughts regarding this myth?
Oh, actually, the newspaper that covered this story, like 60 surgeries in 2 weeks, actually, that was not the fact. Like, we tried to correct it. I mean, it was covered in national newspaper. I think it's Kantipur. We told them that total till now we might have done 60s or 70s surgeries, but they just wrote it down as like 60 surgeries in 2 weeks. We haven't even counted. It might be hundreds of surgeries done solely by the woman. Like, we have, I am a woman, a neurosurgeon in the team, and then we have a female neurosurgical resident as well. And sometimes it happens the anesthesia team is also all led by females, and then the nurses are females. So it happens most of the time. And that was one incident. Like, I was operating on a brain tumor, and then my professor just entered the operation theater, and he realized that all were women. So I mean, he was like, oh, this is a whole team led by a woman, so this is very rare even in the world. So and then after that we realized that, yes, I mean, yes, this must be a different circumstances. But we have done many surgeries even before that, and if we have been doing many surgeries all by female team, um, even almost every day, you know so it's like, and then the talking about the physical stamina, like I do and we do everything done by the my male counterpart, like the dealing with the spines, and then the fixing screws, screws and all other things. We shift the patients to OT, I mean, in the operation theater table, and then position them, everything. So it's a cerebral capacity, actually. It's not a physical capacity that differentiates you. So God has been so kind, like he has given or she has given equal cerebral capacity to male and female. So actually, I mean, physical stamina doesn't create a gap for I mean, for it doesn't create a gap between a male and female neurosurgeons, I guess.
That's a really good message for all of us. So moving on, can you share any personal experiences about bias you felt during your residency or during practice, like you're a woman, and any biases that you felt?
Um, I would rather say it's not a bias, but the ignorance of the people around me. from the educated colleagues. Like I don't think like in my department there is a bias being a male or a female. Obviously, like being a female, I don't go out with the male colleagues to have tea with them, to chit chat with them. There is a different physical and then emotional differences. I mean, differences between males and females, but I wouldn't say like that has created much biases. But the ignorance has, like people don't realize. Just like the patients, they come like I am also in the white apron in the outpatient department, and then the other guy, my male counterpart sitting next to me, is also wearing the same white apron lab coat, and then he or she will just say namaste, Dr. Saab, and then the patient will come to me and they will say me, and sister, uh, there's a difference like in how people see you. So I would say it's not a bias. And then I politely tell them that I'm also a doctor, I'm also a neurosurgeon, I also operate on your brain and I'm spine, so I do the same thing. So what difference you see between him and me? Like we are wearing the same white apron. So what makes you see the difference? So they realize it, and then to every patient, whenever they call me, or the every patient party, like whenever they call me sister, I try to make them understand that there can be a woman who is sitting in that outpatient department chair, and she can be a neurosurgeon that operates on his or her family's brain, or his or her brain and spine. So it's rather than bias, I would say it's ignorance. And also in other interviews, I have said that I operate whole night. As a female, I save a patient, and then when I come out of the operation theater, patient party would ask my junior male counterpart, Dr. Sab, how is the patient? And they don't even realize that I was the main surgeon. I was the leading surgeon who was operating on his brother, or sister, or wife, or mother, like that. So
Yeah.
it's ignorance.
So, like in the society like ours, like patient generally expect a much older male figure as a surgeon, right? And when they meet you, they find that it's not the reality for them. So, like, do you like get any messages from the families like, I want my daughter to be like you when she grows up? So, have you got any messages like that, man?
Yeah, a lot of Ashish, actually. So when I look into my Facebook Messenger, even young girls like wish me Guru Purnima, and then the girl didn't have a Facebook account, and she texted me through her mother's Facebook account, and she wrote me a long, message saying that I have inspired her a lot, and she also wants to be a neurosurgeon. So I feel so blessed that even a single person, like I'm being able to I've been able to toss the life of that girl, and then inspire her. And also just like I'm staying in Texas in my friend's home, and she's got a daughter like which 9 years old, and when she saw me for the first time in Nepal in Bir Hospital, she is inspired to be a neurosurgeon. So and then also like so many people, even some my juniors who I studied my general surgery back in teaching hospital, few juniors text me, ma'am, you have inspired us a lot, and I also want to be a neurosurgeon, what do you think I should do? And many of the surgeons, like the aspiring medical students like you, and then also medical students from other countries like India, and then even United States, like they tell me like we have been inspired by you. So how do we think like we should what do we think that like we should do to be a neurosurgeon, and how do we manage that, how do we do that, what are the obstacles, what are the challenges that we will face in the future? So I feel really blessed uh, for that.
So when I first meet you, it was in Asia Summit, and one of my colleagues, Dr. Neil, is from India. He introduced me
Yeah.
about you. So I didn't know that Dr. Namrata, you were there, and then you were the first one neurosurgeon in government service, and I was really excited to hear from you in the summit. And then I came to know about you, and I checked your socials, and I checked your LinkedIn. I was really inspired by you, Dr. Namrata. So
Thank you.
moving on. So being a pioneer looks easy on the news and in the social media, but in reality, you must be facing a lot of challenges. So I want to ask, has there been any moments that you are at the lowest about to quit, and how did you cope up with that situation?
Yeah, like there have been many situations I've been very low, not because I'm a female, but it comes to everyone, be it to a male neurosurgeon or I mean male surgeon. Like there are moments in people's life or the surgeon's life that you are very low, and then also, and typically as a, I mean specifically as a female, you know I mean, I've said in many of the interviews, we say that we should have equal participation of women in everything. But we, after the women are included in the patriarchal field, just like neurosurgery, I mean, we are not given the equal space sometimes, And for that, you have to work very hard, and you have to prove yourself. And I think, like, if a female has to work 10% then the female has to work 50% to prove herself. So it's there, and then um, about quitting, I've never thought that, because I'm always focused and I always knew what I want in life. But sometimes, yeah, during my general surgery residency days, like when I mean, when my seniors were very hard on me, I mean, I thought like I was being very, I mean, I was being very pressurized, and then there were moments when I used to, I mean, think, am I doing right by coming into this field? But when I talk to my colleagues, like I have very good male colleagues as well, when I talk to them, it's same for them as well. For in initial phase of your career, and when you are starting anything new, like during, it be your residencies or a med school, all everyone faces the same thing. It's not a gender thing, actually.
Wow, that's inspiring, Dr. Namrata. So there might be many people who will be inspired when this video comes out, and there'll be more messages in your socials.
Oh,
So, so
I will
moving
be.
on. Okay. So moving on, a survey conducted among medical students in India found that most common barrier to pursuing neurosurgery as a career was inadequate mentorship, and many students also voted that it was an absence of female role model. So, did you have a role model?
Yeah. Actually, when before I joined surgery, I had never thought of having a role model. I mean, my uncle was always a role model in my life. Like I've seen him becoming a neurosurgeon, and I also always wanted to be like him. But when I joined general surgery, I came to know that there is the first female surgeon in the country. I mean, she is the first female surgeon of the country, and she's the head of the general surgery department, and she is the first actually gastrointestinal MCH surgeon in the country as well. So she is Professor Palishwa Joshi Lakhe. So when I met her, and then I thought that, oh, I mean, why didn't I meet her before? Like now, when I see her, I want to be like her. Like she inspired me in every step, like be it in academics, be it in writings, or be it the way I deal with the patient, the way I talk, the way I present. Like, she has a lot of influence in my life. And then I always say everyone that I want to be Polishwa ma'am of neurosurgery, because she is a gastrointestinal surgeon and I wanted to be a neurosurgeon. I couldn't be a gastrointestinal surgeon, and I always say everyone that I want to be Polishwa ma'am of um, and I mean of neurosurgery. But having said that, I mean, female always don't need female mentors or female role models. I mean, anyone. I mean, and after joining the neurosurgery, I have a male role models, male mentors. So it's like. And then when you travel around, you meet people, you meet many expertise in the field, and they inspire you. And then you see, I mean, many international great neurosurgeons when I did my externships in India, or when I traveled around, when I came to US. So I met a lot of inspiring people. So you can also look up to them, and then can have I mean, be their mentee, and then can look forward for their mentorship in your life.
Thank you for your words. So the rapid fire round of Mission Brain podcast. So what is the most hours you have worked during a week?
It's like 72 hours, 3 days. I worked continuously
Okay.
in my first year of residency.
Wow. And during practice?
During practice, I think it's maybe 18 hours.
Oh. So what is the longest you went without sleep during a shift?
During a shift, I think 36 hours.
Wow. What is the longest surgery that you have performed?
Longest surgery, actually, it's not neurosurgery. So I was doing I mean, I was doing my general surgery residency, and it was a plastic surgery case. It was mandibulectomy for squamous cell carcinoma of the mandible, and then transfer and everything, grafts and everything. It took nearly 18 hours, I guess. Neurosurgery, yeah. I mean, we have for the first time we are doing deep brain stimulation in a patient, and then we had foreign, I mean, foreign professor, and then it took us 12 hours, and it was a New Year day, and then we started the surgery at 7 a.m. in the morning, and it finished at 7 p.m. in the evening, and we didn't even describe. I mean, we didn't even went to the loo. It was interesting, and it was a New Year day. And after finishing the surgery, we went to Marriott and celebrated.
Most amount of surgeries that you have performed during a day.
A seven?
Have you ever lost a patient during surgery?
No, never. That's a blessing. I have never faced that.
What one thing stresses you during surgery?
Being a neurosurgeon, I'm always focused on, will this patient be able to move the hands? I mean, move hands, legs, and be able to speak, and just the functional. I mean, functional outcome. We are always focused on the functional outcome of the patient during the surgery. So when we operating on brain, if will patient be conscious, or the will move his or her limbs after the surgery, will his GCS be, I mean, 15 by 15 after the surgery. And then when we are operating on spine, it's like, will the patient be able to move the legs, or the hands? So that kind of thing, we always think about the functional recovery of the patient after the surgery.
In one word, what is your ultimate goal, your North Star?
I think satisfaction.
In between or after a long surgery, what do you prefer to eat?
Coffee.
And
And
in
milk
food?
coffee, not black coffee.
And in food?
Food, anything. I mean, to satisfy my stomach.
If not a neurosurgeon, what would you be?
I would have been a pilot.
Okay. One word to describe the future of neurosurgery in Nepal.
It's very, I mean, inspiring. And then I think the future of medicine will be the future neurosurgery.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you again. Dr. Namrata, we started this conversation talking about the global statistics that only 10 to 15% of the women are of the neurosurgeons are women. But over the last hour, you have shown us that this percentage is challenged every single day by your presence and your success. So, to a young girl who is the medical student in a first year and aspiring neurosurgeon who feels the weight of the odds are against her, what is your message on why she should choose this difficult path, and how does she keep her mind sharp when the world tells her that to land on a safer lane?
I would suggest her, like, just don't choose a path because you want to choose a difficult path. Just like, just you want to do a different thing, don't do that. Just follow your passion. you know I mean, it's not like choosing a simple or difficult thing. If you want to be I mean, if you have a passion for doing a very simple thing, just do that. So just follow your passion, and then if you follow your passion, that will lead you to the satisfaction and success. So just don't choose the things because you have to do it, because the society says that it's difficult and it's very rewarding, because you will be a neurosurgeon, people will look at you in a different way, you'll be earning this much. Not that way. Just because you want to do it, uh, just do it. And just don't think about challenges. You will, as you move on, you will break all the barriers. So just don't think about it. If you have a passion, then just choose it.
So thank you, Dr. Namrata. To our viewers, our listeners, whether you are a medical student, an aspiring neurosurgeon, or a resident, we hope Dr. Khadka's story reminds you that no ceiling is too high to break. We are so proud to share this conversation with you as a part of Mission Brain Journey. Dr. Namrata, it was an honor to have you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Asis. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for having me. And thank you, Mission Brain, as well.